Mel Gibson is Santa Claus with an attitude. Enough said. Here on Film Threat Reviews. Hi, I'm Alan Ng. I'm with Zorianna Kit, and today we review Fatman. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to the Film Threat Review Show, Film Threat channel. And with that, Santa Claus must contend with a hitman sent from a disappointed child. Written and directed by Eshom Nelms and Ian Nelms. Stars Mel Gibson, Walton Goggins, and Marianne Jean-Baptiste. So, Santa Claus. Mel Gibson is Santa Claus. This is a weird one because, like I said, I don't do a lot of research before watching a movie. I just knew this one had Mel Gibson in it. And it didn't dawn on me until about 20 minutes into this film that he's playing Santa Claus.
You didn't figure that out?
You know, it was like, no, part of it was, you know, they were dropping subtle hints, but my brain was telling me, no, he's not Santa Claus. This is not a movie about Santa Claus. And then you find out this is a movie about Santa Claus. I mean, what were your initial reactions to? Did you know this beforehand, or what was kind of your thoughts about Santa Claus here?
So this was the whole time I watched this movie, I had one major question that I wanted to get answered, and I couldn't. Who is the targeted audience for this movie? Because it's maybe a Christmas movie, like if it stars Mel Gibson as Santa and it's centered around him and his elves, even though they're actually working for the government to create some sort of weaponry or something, you still think a movie about Santa Claus is going to come out during the holiday season. So holiday season means family and all ages. And, you know, there's a kid in this movie, a disgruntled child who's home alone, kind of similar to like the movie Home Alone, where he's kind of left to his own devices, except this kid is no, Macaulay Culkin. So you can't really have your kids watch it because this kid isn't likable in any capacity. You're not rooting for him. He's kind of
he is the villain of the piece.
Yes, but there's more than one villain, but he was the sort of the instigator that prompts the other villain to take over. And he's not someone that you would want your kids to watch, even though it's a kid. So kids movie, Santa movie, holiday movie, family movie, action movie, it didn't fit in any of those categories. I was thoroughly confused.
Yeah, I'll say this. It's definitely not a kids movie. I mean, the violence is there. I believe there's language. And to me, it's not a Christmas movie in the sense of let's gather the family or let's every Christmas watch this. This is, to me, it's if you're a type of person who is not a big fan of Christmas, I think this is for you because it kind of tears it apart in a way that is not so obvious about it.
But see, but wasn't that what Bad Santa was? Except, Billy Bob Thornton as Santa, as foul-mouthed as he was, he still had this. You could see, the movie was really enjoyable to watch. Bad Santa go through all his self-destructive habits.
Well, I think in this case, it's for the people who are not big fans of Christmas, and maybe this is a redemptive story for them for Christmas.
Oh, Alan, you're too kind now.
I know. I am
too kind.
It's, to me, I took it for what it was, and that's it's just a weird, funny, weird film about Christmas and Mel Gibson being Santa Claus, because that's basically the joke. Mel Gibson is Santa Claus. One issue I had was the movie, the way it was written, the way it was structured. You could literally take out Santa Claus, replace him with the Tooth Fairy, or replace him with some other, the Easter Bunny. This could have been an Easter Bunny.
How about this? Just some regular guy living with his wife on a farm.
Yeah.
Who's down on the block and gets a government contract.
Yeah, most of the Santa Claus references are verbal. They're just said. It's not like, you're seeing a sled. You do get kind of a glimpse at the workshop. So it's not, and he never wears red, never wears the, he's got the,
red. His
Oh,
truck
was
is
that?
red. That's the only thing. His truck.
Yeah, his truck was red. So, that's why story-wise, it really doesn't lean necessarily into needing to be Santa Claus or Christmas. It just
Okay, but the age-old debate of Die Hard, is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not?
Mhm.
You know, is this the same kind of debate we're going to have here? Like, is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not? Is
Well,
Fatman a Christmas movie or not?
yeah. This is more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard. Just because a movie takes place during Christmas doesn't necessarily make it a Christmas movie.
Yes.
But I think people like to think that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, which is why that debate occurs. In this case, it is a Christmas movie because it takes place at Christmas and it has Santa in it. Is it the spirit of Christmas movie? And I
This
would
movie
say,
has no
no.
spirit. This movie has no spirit. At one point, Mel Gibson is overlooking the elves in his workshop, knowing that like he had just accepted this government contract that he's not too fond of. And he literally says, let's get this over with. Like,
Yeah.
that's what he tells the elves. And I'm like, is he talking to himself? Like, is this Mel Gibson talking to himself, how he feels about doing this movie? Like, okay, let's just get this over with right now.
Yeah. That's an interesting point you bring up. Why did Mel Gibson do this? And
Yeah.
I think there's an aspect of, he's not necessarily, people aren't breaking down his door to do movies, big Hollywood movies anymore. And so why not do an action film and have a little fun with it?
But that's what, Alan, that's what the Lethal Weapon movies were that he was so good in, because there was a twinkle in his eye as he was doing that. In this movie, he was lifeless. He had nothing in his eyes showing that he was enjoying himself. I mean, if you're going to play Santa, who's preposterously working with the government, at least have fun with that.
Yeah.
He didn't look like he was having any fun.
Yeah, and part of that is possibly age too. I mean, he's not the Mel Gibson of Lethal Weapon. He's older. He's still in shape, but there's a limitation now to what he can do. I will say I did enjoy the action. The movie is definitely B-movie action.
Yeah.
Basically gunplay, fist fights, knives.
Yeah.
A little bit of thrills. There's a chase scene. Walton Goggins plays the assassin, and he goes in. And, he shoots up a lot of people. He's a single guy. He's one guy who can go into a military installation, the North Pole, and take out a bunch of military guys with no problem whatsoever.
And how come it takes the military forever to respond? I mean, even those little elves were able to, help faster than the military was able to.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, to me, that's kind of where the fun is. My
was
biggest
this movie fun for you to watch?
It was. You know what it is? Two things. One is the action. Action was good. The second one was just this fascination of, okay, so he's Santa Claus. How do certain aspects of this movie play out? If this is the North Pole, if this is Santa's workshop, and so I'm kind of glued to wonder, okay, how are they? It's kind of like the puzzle solving thing that I enjoy of movies. How are they going to incorporate this? How about that? Why do all the elves live a long time, but Santa is still a human being? These are the things they have to explain. And again, they explain it, but it's usually through an explanation and not through necessarily seeing something. So I was morbidly intrigued by the whole movie.
Morbidly intrigued. I do have to say, I did love the fact that Santa and his wife were an interracial couple. That really warmed my heart. But it was so funny because he's referenced as Chris in this movie, and her name is Ruth. And all I kept thinking of was Ruth's Chris, like
the steakhouse.
Steakhouse. Like, was there supposed to be any correlation there or not? I'm really not sure.
I know. Well, the venison must have been real good. All right. All right. So let's see. So you had a hard time just figuring out who this was for. This probably wasn't for you. And there's a lot to kind of accept and get over. So I don't think you necessarily enjoyed it. So I'm going to say a 5.
you know, I was actually going to be a little nicer and give it a 6, but you know, 5 wouldn't be. You know, it's. I guess if I give it a 5, it means I hated it, and I didn't hate this movie. I just was, like you said, confused and just really didn't know who it was for. When I watch a movie, we all have different internal barometers. When I'm watching it, I'm usually watching it by myself. And as I'm watching it, I'm always thinking, oh my gosh, who do I know that would love this, that I could share this with? Like, who would I sit down and watch it a second time? Like, is it my kids? Do I pull them in and say, oh my God, let's watch this. You're going to love it. I've just seen it. Is it my mom? Is it my brother? Is it my neighbor? Is it my friends? And that's sort of how I kind of figure out like where this movie is, who it's for. And the whole time I was watching this, I was going, I don't know who I would pull in. I don't know who I would have join me on the couch and say, this is totally for you. You'd enjoy it. Like, I got you here.
Yeah, you know, I have a subset of friends who would enjoy this, where I could just walk up to them and say, hey, I've got this movie where Mel Gibson plays Santa Claus, and he's got a major attitude. And we would be like, yes, we need to see this movie.
But for you, Alan, you did like the action here, and if you seem to know who would like this, and you seem to kind of go again, you accepted this way that the movie was, and got into it based on your acceptance of what was happening. So you gave it a 7?
Yes, I gave it a 7. I liked it. I wish, you know, this is one of those where if you're gonna do the Santa Claus thing, I wish they had leaned into it a little bit more. And didn't make it feel more like a generic action film with a Christmas overlay on top of it. That's why I didn't give it a higher score. I think they could have done so much more. I do like the grounded aspect of it, that, you know, this is not tongue-in-cheek. They're not making jokes. They're not winking at the camera.
Yeah.
You know, this is Mel Gibson seriously playing Santa Claus. And I kind of wish maybe they put a little lightness and levity to it. What did you think of Mel Gibson as Santa Claus? Please like, subscribe, and comment with your thoughts. And with that, let's get out of here.